I'm resident of Collinwood for YouTube, Joel Sainz, joined by my friends Christine Pierce, Kara Tillies from Between the Shadows.
Hey, guys.
Shadows podcast. I have a question for you about the widows of Widow's Hill. So Rachel Comstock, Abigail Tolliver, and Margaret Finley are our three widows. They jumped to their death on Widow's Hill, not at the same time, mind you, but all three of them have one thing in common. They were all married to sailors.
Yeah.
So really interesting. So here's my first question. Because the Leviathan arc usually Leviathan arcs require sacrifice. Do you think the widows were the sacrificial lambs of the Leviathan?
Ooh.
Here we go again. Joel asked the best questions.
I know.
You know what? I had never thought of that, but it completely makes sense because the way the Leviathans operate, something like that, like a human sacrifice, just totally seems right up their alley.
It wouldn't surprise me,
honestly.
But also, I mean, I always kind of like to go back to the cursed grounds that they're on.
Yeah.
And it's just what happened.
Yeah.
I know that's very bland, but
it's true though. I mean,
but yes, I could understand the Leviathan thing too.
I said arc. I meant to say altar. So Leviathan altar. Usually altars require a sacrifice. At least that's what I've been told by most priests, which I'm sure they would know. I remember when I was in Catholic school, a priest told me, he goes, do you believe in God and the devil? I said, I believe in God. He goes, you sort of need to believe in both to understand the evil that we're fighting here. He goes, and by the way, he goes, try not to be late to church. They really frown on that around here. That's my church story. But with the Widows of Widow's Hill, I find it interesting how we first hear about them. We first hear about them through Roger talking to Victoria on top of Widow's Hill, and he's telling her about the legends. He says that they used to come up here and mourn their loved ones, and then when Jeremiah Collins, as he says, it told them to leave, that they couldn't come up here no more. And Victoria says that's awful, but he goes, no, Miss Winters, they never left. And he's meaning when they jumped to their death, their ghosts stayed here. Now, here's an interesting part. Roger, I love me some Roger Collins. I know you ladies do too.
Yes, sir.
So, is Roger right here? Do you think it's Jeremiah, or do you think it's Joshua who tells them to get going? Or who do you think tells the widows to beat it off of Widow's Hill?
For sure, off the bat, I always thought Joshua.
I did too, and because when we meet Jeremiah in 1795, he is so nice. I mean, he's a gentleman, you know, especially with, you know, Vicky acting as that shit as she did, and he was so nice to her. He was like
Barnabas and Jeremiah were like the cut above.
But Joshua was so callous, so cold to everyone and everything, like was incapable of love, and he kind of admitted that himself. He's like, I've never been able to show emotion or have emotion, and eventually, off topic, but that's pretty basically what saved him from the family curse that Angelique put on the house. Yeah. So I mean, based on the information that we have, I would have said Joshua every time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think this is Lewis Edmonds' Roger Collins telling a lie. I think he's just telling a story he's been repeated over and over again through the generations. And I also think he's going. Victoria Winters is a victim of this too in 1795. She's taking the Collins family history book as gospel, and Roger does too, to a degree. And we all know, well, you can't quite do that.
Yes.
Because the Collins family history book has accuracy issues. Yeah, that's right about some things, but not about everything. And with the Widows of Widow's Hill, they say Joshua, or they say Jeremiah, I'm sort of wondering if their deaths happen when maybe Josh was even a kid, because I think honestly their deaths happen. The house in 1795, the house is still being somewhat constructed, but it's more near completion than what it's supposed to be, and I think that's because Vicky going back.
Right.
And I'm not. I swear this is going to lead to a question. Um, but do you guys think with well, that's a question. Do you think with Vicky going back, it altered certain timeline events of how, like, when the house was built exactly?
I am certainly open to that because I think Vicky going back to the past, I think changed a lot of things. And I think there are things that happened because she was there as opposed to how things happened if Phyllis Wick had stayed put.
Yeah.
And we've had discussions on this on our podcast too, that Vicky being there, I believe, changed some things in the timeline. I don't think it was a cookie cutter of what happened to Phyllis Wick or what happened to the family while Phyllis Wick was there. I think that Vicky being there changed a lot. And it wouldn't surprise me if she maybe expedited the house being built, or
And I also kind of thought that if the switch hadn't happened with Phyllis and Vicky, I feel like Phyllis wouldn't have been fought for or fighted for herself like Vicky had,
yeah.
and was fought for. Like Vicky really made a convincing argument, even
I
as
agree.
crazy as it sounded,
I agree.
and how much many people still didn't believe her. But just who she is in general, even
Right.
not knowing who she really is, like
Right.
just gave that air off about herself that you wanted to protect her or
I-
believe her.
I agree.
She was such a good person. But I feel like
agree.
I kind of feel like Phyllis Wick, they would have arrested her, hung her, and that was the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
And things would have stayed as the way they were going.
I think you're right. I think you're right about that. And
Yeah.
I know it's totally off topic, but I like to think that Phyllis Wick didn't put up a fight, or she didn't
Right.
she didn't get as much a fight as Vicky got
Yeah.
from Peter, from herself. I don't think she was as feisty and strong as Vicky.
I
So
agree.
but back on topic, I think Vicky's presence there and the impact that she had on 1795, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if
Yeah.
her being there expedited the
build of the house.
the build of the house and
true colors being shown.
yeah, or the
definitely.
curse happening any faster.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm. It wouldn't surprise me one bit.
I'm willing to bet that Phyllis Wick's journey, there's a lot not recorded about Phyllis Wick's
Agreed.
trial and how she went. They say Barnabas says she was hung as a witch, but I'm sort of wondering if she was accused of murder and witchcraft. Maybe they blamed her for. Barnabas says that Sarah died of illness after her doll went missing. You notice in the 1795 arc, it's not her doll that goes missing. She thought she saw Barnabas and she goes out.
Yeah.
Maybe in Phyllis Wick's arc, maybe Barnabas did mend the doll, but when it went missing, they found it in Phyllis's room, and that's what she gets initially arrested for. I'm wondering that.
I never thought of it that way, but yeah.
Me either, but
It's like that's what's weird about Dark Shadows. Like they talk about how the past keeps repeating itself. I'm not so sure it repeats itself. It repeats the changes that got made. Like
Yeah.
there's a timeline where there's Phyllis Wick who didn't switch places with Vicky, and then there's now the timeline that Victoria switched places. So it's like it's constantly changing, and then there's Barnabas who goes back and changes it even more.
Right.
Because nobody knows how to fix things like our buddy Barnabas unless it's in heaven.
Right.
Which his track record's not great there. What did you think of the legend of Widow's Hill itself? Here's these three women, they jump to their death, but there's been prophesized a fourth widow that will join them who will jump. What did you first think about it when you heard about it?
I'm sorry. Did you have
No,
that?
you go ahead first. That's cool.
So we hear about the legend of Widow's Hill pretty early on in the series, and I think, the show is already mysterious when it opens up,
Right.
and after it's the 3 episode hook, that's what I give it 3 episodes before I decide if I'm going to stay hooked or not. But we hear about it, I think, within those first 3 episodes, and just to hear the way Roger goes on about it, like you can tell that this story was handed down. Like, this is a story he heard in his childhood, and his dad probably heard it in his childhood, and he tells it with such conviction that it gives me chills when I hear it. It's like these 3 widows. Are you listening, Miss Winters? They haven't left. Listen, you can hear the whispers, and it's just like, whoo! It's like a nice ghost story. It's like a classic ghost story, and I loved it.
Right. It's not so much magical or witchcrafty.
No.
It's just ghosts.
It's like an old sailor story.
Yeah.
And I love it, and I loved it, and I loved how it kind of affected Vicky too. It was like she's come for answers, and she, gets the story about the widows, first off the bat, and so there's more mystery surrounding where she's at. I don't know. I love it. I love it so much.
And when we get to that question, unless this is the question, I have a theory about the 4th widow. But
okay.
What's your theory? Please let us.
we all want to think maybe, because especially the way they tried to play it out, like I think it was with Angelique when she was getting her to think about death and everything.
Right.
They want you to go ahead and think with them that it could be Elizabeth.
Right.
I think it was Naomi.
You do?
Because Naomi did die.
Yeah.
On the grounds. Elizabeth stayed. She lived.
True.
And died of natural causes, as far as I know. But I think it could have been, or should have been, would have been Naomi.
If things had gone naturally.
I think so. Because Naomi didn't die a natural death. I mean, she did, but,
she died.
You know what I'm trying to say?
She died prematurely.
Yeah.
Well, that's
sad death.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing too. When you look at Naomi's headstone, the date initially is later. So again, her death is lied upon too, because Joshua puts it as that Naomi didn't die in 1790, whatever. She didn't die till like later in the 1800s.
Yeah.
But he puts alive, but it's hard to tell like what would have her initial death be if she wouldn't have been poisoned. Would she have jumped from Widow's Hill? Because I'm like, we all know she loved Joshua, but she lost her daughter, she lost her son. I mean, living at that point could feel like hell for her.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, while she was still alive, I can imagine her being in her shoes. I mean, she already felt like a widow.
Right.
In a way. Like,
right. And I kind of think that's why, even though Paul Stoddard wasn't dead, we didn't know that when Liz attempted to jump.
Yeah.
The couple times she tried to jump. But I don't know. I think that's why they went Elizabeth, because she's practically a widow. I mean, Paul is gone.
Yeah.
And he might as well be dead to her, except when he comes back for the Leviathan. But up until that point, Paul Stoddard is non-existent. We don't think of him. We think of Liz as a single older matriarch who, will probably never be married. And I don't know.
Yeah.
But the 4th, if there's a prophecy, my theory on it could have been, if the show had gone on longer and hadn't gotten canceled, I feel like maybe it could have been Carolyn, because she became a widow shortly after she was married.
Yeah.
And, she only married the one time. She married Jeb.
She kind of became an old bat.
Type of old
lady.
I know.
A little bit loony.
But I feel like, and I mean, she was alive in 1995 because of the events that had happened because of Judah Zachary. But if that hadn't happened, I feel like Carolyn could have been that 4th.
Yeah, that's a good theory.
I don't know.
I think too that I'm sort of wondering if the events, because that's the thing, the events of 1970 that lead to when they come back when Barnabas and Julia come back from 1995 and they try to tell everybody, hey, this is going to happen, and nobody's believing them at first.
Right.
And when Carolyn meets Shaw.
Sebastian Shaw.
Yeah, Sebastian Shaw. She sees Jeb, and no wonder. I mean, it's Christopher Pennock, obviously,
Right.
and he
Right.
he tells her, he goes, "No, I'm not who you think. No, I'm not him." You know, he's very honest with her about that.
Right.
But you know, I think it, like, when they I could see her as a widow.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the thing. When you get into the legend of Widow's Hill, the three women, they were married to their lovers.
Right.
Right.
I don't count Josette because she's a mulligan. She was under a spell.
Mm-hmm.
Love me some Josette, but she was under a spell.
Sorry,
and-
just plugging in the computer. Sorry.
It's all right. It's all right.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Yeah.
So I like the fact that Josette, with her death though, like, because she's the most famous. Like, Widow's Hill is known for the three widows, but
Right.
its most famous person who died is Josette.
Right.
Now, survivors have been an interesting thing. We have Adam, who has got the best cannonball ever. So, and then there's the head of Judah Zachary, which got thrown off and still managed to survive.
Right.
So, what did you think of Adam living? How shocking was that?
You know, oh my gosh.
I
Adam surviving. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I mean, you don't really understand superhuman strength until something like that happens.
Until you survive a fall off of Widow's Hill.
But I still didn't think he could survive that. Like,
Right.
I mean, it's pretty brutal. Like sharp rocks at the bottom of a tall cliff.
It's not like people go diving off this hill. You know, it's not like, it's not like it's not like it's deep water. It's all rocks down there. And it's like,
I mean, he came out not even with like a broken arm, as far as I know, right?
Yeah, he got a scratched up face.
Bumps and bruises.
I mean, he fell or jumped off of Widow's Hill and was walking. Not even harmed, just like walking. It was shocking, honestly. I mean, obviously Dr. Lang knew exactly what he was doing with Adam and giving him super. We had this discussion on our show. I'm like, did Dr. Lang mean to make him so strong, or was it just a happy after effect? You know?
Like what made him so super strong?
I don't know. It might have
like
been that.
That's where like the supernatural something comes in with it.
Maybe
not just building a body from parts. Something supernatural came in with that.
Yeah.
In my
like Superman.
I think in some weird way, Barnabas's affliction is in him, but he's not a vampire. So he's got this supernatural strength and this supernatural ability to take a lot of punishment and pain.
Okay, yeah.
So he
understand that.
Right. Basically, he's Frankenstein's monster.
Right.
Okay.
In every way. So they are giving him Barnabas's powers without having he has to drink blood. He can't be out in the sun. He can do all that. Like he can be out in the sun. He doesn't have to drink blood, but he also has the ability to take a lot of punishment and just falling off Widow's Hill is. I wouldn't expect him to live, but hey, he's alive.
Right. It's like the only way to hurt Adam is to hurt Barnabas, because they're
basically, yeah.
But if you hurt Adam, Barnabas obviously wasn't very affected, because when he fell off of jumped off of Widow's Hill, Barnabas wasn't affected.
I was going to say
he could just feel that Adam was still alive, but as far as the pain goes, as far as being harmed, Barnabas didn't feel anything.
Like when Barnabas was trapped in the coffin in the ground, Adam couldn't breathe. But it's like Barnabas didn't get the effects of Adam, but Adam got them from Barnabas.
Right.
Type.
And when Adam was shot, Barnabas wasn't hurt.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think,
but maybe because he's the life source, not the other way around.
That's what I was just going to say. Yeah, because Barnabas is the life force, so maybe that's why Adam feels the pain, but it's not vice versa. So
what if the prophecy of the Widow's Hill is wrong? We're told it's a widow that's supposed to be. What if it's a widower? What if it's a man?
Oh, good question.
So my widower who would have jumped would have been Barnabas.
Yeah.
He comes back from having lost Angelique forever. He's been miserable pretty much forever. He's lost two loves in his life with
Yeah.
Josette and now Angelique. Maybe he just went to Widow's Hill and said, "You know what? Screw it.
Enough.
And I've had enough. I'm checking out."
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
And after all that, I can't blame him.
I mean, nobody's been through what Barnabas has.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It'd have been interesting to see if he would have did it, but I don't know. What did you think of? Oh my God, we have so many deaths to cover. Well, not next, but what did you think of Beth Chavez? Her death off with his head.
Oh my God.
Beth was so tormented and so wronged in her life, you know,
Used and abused.
Used and abused and heartbroken and overall just treated like crap, you know,
But
and
loyal to a fault.
And to see her meet her in that way, I kind of expected that kind of from her because of all the hell she had been through. But also, it was like, girl, this girl deserved better.
I guess overall, I guess I'm happy that she took herself out and nobody took her out.
Yeah.
Like, because that would have made me even more sad, honestly, if somebody would have gotten her.
Yeah.
But she was that strong into herself.
I feel like the poison that she tried to take before may have been a better end, a less painful end, but
Yeah.
you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
she's backing away from Quentin because she still thinks it's Potopa in Quentin's body.
Right.
And Quentin is helpless. He doesn't want to run after her and grab her and cause her to fall, but she just goes anyway, and he can't believe it. He's heartbroken over this. Here's a guy that's lost his son, one of his children. Now he's lost a woman he's loved. It's
right.
like, here's the thing though too, and shout out to our mutual friend Patrick McCrae. He brought this up too, that Beth, you know, you have Jameson who names his daughter Elizabeth, you know, which is no coincidence. It's not coincidence. It's done on purpose.
That is very interesting.
You know, I agree with that. That it's because he knew how much Beth went through and really did for the family.
Yes.
That's the interesting thing too. Like her death, though it's not dramatized the way maybe Josette's is, her death is important in a different way because Jameson really cared for her. And it's easy to see why, considering how much she did.
Yes. But I have never thought about that before. But thanks, Patrick McCrae.
That's why we talk.
We got
to know what each other's thinking.
I love it.
I'm doing Beckett tomorrow night with them. You ever see the movie?
No.
Which movie?
Beckett?
No.
It's a very old night movie with Peter O'Toole. Very, very good.
Oh,
okay.
It's on Tubi for free. You can check it out.
Okay.
Good to know. I have Tubi. So.
my favorite Peter O'Toole movie is Lion in Winter, if you've ever seen it. It has Anthony Hopkins in it. With the most famous death, obviously, Josette Dupre Collins. She marries Jeremiah Collins. She's still in love with Barnabas, but she's gonna get put under a spell, and she's gonna jump to her death. I love how they use Jonathan's voice is used. That Angelique uses Barnabas's voice. My biggest thing is, and this is interesting too, it has nothing to do with her death specifically. I always go back and notice one thing about 1795. When they're doing another voice over for like Jeremiah's taunting Barnabas, or supposed to be taunting him, they don't use the actor's voice at all. They don't use.
Yeah, they don't.
Anthony George's voice at all, which I'm like, well, wait, he was still there.
Right.
um,
Right.
but what did you think of Josette's death off Widow's Hill? The cause of it, Angelique, the baddest witch on earth.
It irritates me so much to watch because they fell for it. They fell for it. That's just the, you know, they were so close, and she knew what being with Barnabas meant. She knew. I think she knew. Maybe not the entire magnitude, but you know, when they meet in the mausoleum, he was like, Josette, I died and now I'm back. What do you make of that?
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't care. She's like, I know that if I have to be with you, that means I have to die. And I'm fine with that. You know, whatever that means. I don't care. I'll go to the ends of the earth with you, whatever. I'll be whatever it takes. So I feel like she had some kind of idea what it was going to be.
Yeah.
And Angelique showed her the not so kind picture of it, but I feel like that wasn't all Barnabas's life was as a vampire. You know, it wasn't all, you know, drinking blood, and because he loved very deeply, you know, and I feel like being a vampire, it fueled it a little more. It exemplified it.
Of course, that's a natural nature.
So it makes me so mad that Josette fell for it, and
literally fell. She didn't jump.
Right.
She fell.
I think she
slipped.
She fell. Getting away from Barnabas. But I do appreciate when Barnabas goes back looking for Vicky to save Vicky, he changes that whole thing, you know. Yeah. He sends Natalie instead of going himself because she, or no, hang on. That was in 1897 when he went to the past again to follow Kitty back and Naomi.
Yeah, he sends Natalie because he knows if he goes that she'll jump.
Right.
He's supposed to. Yeah, she's supposed to meet. I believe she's supposed to meet him. I think in the old house, if I'm not mistaken. Right.
Yeah.
And well, that never happened.
No. Josette ends up killing herself anyway, and it's but I thought it was really smart on Barnabas's part because you know he could have easily gone to Josette and it all happened all over again, but he was smart enough to send Natalie and keep her from jumping, and I kind of wish he had been that smart the first time because I feel like her death may have been avoided. But
and kind of like speaking of Natalie though, I mean, being Josette's aunt and everything, I feel like Josette kind of already had, because Natalie was so into that macabre and, you know, reading into the future and stuff like that. I think Josette could fathom it a little more, even though she didn't completely understand what was going on, like you were saying.
Right.
She had heard all this crazy crap from Natalie her whole life.
Right.
That something could be believed, even if you didn't fully understand it.
Right.
But,
and now she loved Barnabas, and that's all that mattered, and she was willing to take the chance and make the sacrifice. And I don't know, even if So it was irritating to watch her fall for Angelique's crap, and then to watch Angelique laugh about it as Barnabas is just in shambles over it, which is
every time you hear that Angelique laugh, it's
like, come here, girl, I'm gonna wring your neck.
Like,
but I love
she got away with something.
But I love her. I can't help it.
I know. It's just
the two most infamous laughs in horror are the Shadow and Angelique.
Yes, absolutely.
But
and the Joker, but I don't. That's not really horror.
No, Joker is horror.
Well, that's the thing too. Like the Joker has a unique laugh though too. When you hear it, everybody has their own. Like Mark Hamill has his version. Heath Ledger had his. Yeah. So, and even like Nicholson had his own. So it's really the guy who played him in the '60s. I'm probably going to butcher his name, Ramiro or.
Cesar Romero. Or Cesar.
Yeah, he even had his own. So it's really cool that every Joker had their own iteration of a laugh. It wasn't the same. So that's a pretty unique.
gave us Batman and they gave us Dark Shadows.
I know, the best year in television. Batman and Dark Shadows.
The 60s was a good time.
It really was.
There is maybe a deserving participant in 1840. Samantha Collins, Quentin's wife, gets thrown off of this hill. Thank God. She did murder Joanna, Quentin's love.
Yeah.
So scale of 1 to 10, how deserved is her death?
You know what? She was one that I wasn't sad about, and I felt bad that I wasn't sad.
Yeah.
But she had wreaked so much havoc, and then when I found out she killed Joanna, I'm like, oh, bye, bitch. You know, it's just I'm just like Joanna didn't touch her. She just showed her true self, and that was it. She kind of fell off too, you know.
Yeah.
But
like you wanted to feel so bad for Samantha. And I did.
For a while.
But man, everything, it kept getting revealed more and more. You're like, damn.
So dastardly and so petty.
Like you and Quentin kind of deserved each other.
But yeah.
Like,
so I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. I wish I could have been more sad about her death.
Me too. But I think it was 100% deserved after killing Joanna, after pretending to be Joanna, and I'm over it.
Yeah.
But
Anytime I'm watching like Halloween 2 and I watch Michael Myers stab this nurse in the back, I'm thinking, why can't you just go back in time and go to Dark Shadows and do that to Samantha?
Yes.
Like everybody would just be happy.
Why Gerard hung on to her for so long? I'm like, what use was she? Honestly.
Well, I do like the fact that you have Gerard / Judah Zachary conning her into like doing all this stuff to get Quentin to the gallows.
Yeah.
So he's basically using her as a front. Like he's using her to make sure the job gets done. Yeah. But she has her own demons too, and I think even Judah was to the point like, you know what, you got a lot of baggage, girl. Go ahead.
That's rude.
Totally.
Yes.
Totally.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I think you just saw in her she had what it took to.
It's like now you're becoming a liability. You're no longer really much use to me anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. At that point, like he's got Charles Dawson on his side, so it's like, you know what, my boy Charles Dawson's over here. You can go. You know what? Some ghost wants to kill you. Yeah, go ahead.
Go for it.
And that's the thing too. Like when you have two villains who are working together, you're just waiting for one of them to stab one in the back. And Judah Zachary, he saw a means to an end, so it's like, yeah,
exactly. It was she was easily disposed of, and he didn't have to do much to it. So
right.
So
what did you say? Now she doesn't jump off of this hill, but she comes close, and we touched upon her a bit. What did you think of? Because it's during Jason McGuire. What did you think about Elizabeth? How the widows are calling to her to jump. This was really, really dark and really interesting.
Definitely. I the first time I saw it, I'm thinking to myself as we're hearing the widows calling to Elizabeth, and I'm thinking, surely not. This woman, she has been so strong so far in this show. Surely this is not going to be the way she's going to go. It can't be. And excuse me, get down, please. Get down. But and then
cats love me.
I know they do, especially my cats. My gosh. But she gets to Widow's Hill and she even gets a running start. And as soon as she's ready to take that first run, Vicky goes, Mrs. Stoddard. And I thought it was over. I thought she was going to go over.
Yeah.
And I think if Vicky had gotten there even 1 second later, it would have been over.
She would have done it.
I don't know. It shocked me.
As much as I hate it, I mean, after everything, maybe Elizabeth was or is meant to be that person.
Yeah, maybe
as much as I hate it, but every single time, I mean, it was more than once.
Yeah. And the fact that Jason bullied her and tormented her so much
to death, to just about,
yeah, literally to death. If Vicky hadn't been the voice of reason and pulled her back, Jason McGuire would have been the reason she would have gone over. She wanted to not marry him so badly that she was ready to end her life over it.
God, how horrible is that?
And I mean, instead she takes the better way out, and she wants to not marry him so bad that she just blurts out, everything incriminating about herself in front of a judge.
I'd rather spend it in jail than die for you.
So, I mean, what went on behind the scenes with Jason McGuire that just made her so suicidal? I mean, it's incredible. Granted, if it were me and I was forced into being married with Jason, I might have gone the same way. But no, thank you.
I'd have been Elizabeth. I'd have pulled out Roger's revolver and pleaded insanity.
That's what Carolyn was going to do. Why didn't you think of that? She was ready to shoot at his own wedding.
Right? Carolyn's got the gun. She's been taking the Lamont Cranston School of how to pull the trigger. And she's going to pull the trigger, too. I'm thinking, yeah, this girl's ready to go.
I don't think she would have missed either.
No, she's got that gun and she's got it in the bag like a muzzle. So
yeah,
she's got like a silencer in a sense, to where the gun's not even going to be heard. He's just going to fall down, and I bet she's just going to hide the gun. It's like, oh my God.
She had this all planned out.
Wow.
If you need an assassin, Carolyn's your
girl. Carolyn's daughter,
right?
There's two people who saved Elizabeth, Victoria and Barnabas. And I like how Barnabas comes up behind her. He realizes what's going to happen. He has seen this scene all too much.
Yeah.
And you can tell he has. And he tells Vicky, he goes, someone's got to watch her. She might go back up there. And that's when Vicky, I think, tells him, she goes, yeah, I caught her up there too. And Barnabas is like, my God, like he's like to the realization, like, and it really, like, Dennis Patrick plays a great heel in Jason McGuire, and this just paints him as an even bigger heel.
Yeah, definitely. I think Mrs. Johnson caught her up there too. Bless you. Bless you.
Sorry.
Bless you. No worries. Pollen has been horrible this year. It really has.
My wife is at work. She must be thinking about cleaning or cleaning. Because I start to sneeze. So,
I did that before this. So. I told Kara, I was like, "Why do I clean my house when we see Jules? I'm like, he's gonna see my house."
Here's the thing: I got all my dishes done earlier, and Julie wakes up, dirties more dishes, and she goes, "I made some more dishes for you to clean." I'm like, I'll get right on that. So, good times.
That's my adulting for the night.
Right. Like, that's the thing. Like, when I'm cleaning, I'll listen to podcasts when I'm cleaning, because most podcasts are over 2 hours long.
Exactly.
It's like, if I listen to a song, it's over in 5 minutes.
Exactly. Well, hopefully we'll have a new one for you to clean to very soon. So.
Well, when I'm not listening to you guys or Penny, I usually listen to a wrestling podcast called What Happened When with Tony Schiavone. He's a wrestling announcer. He was a wrestling announcer.
Nice.
So I listened to him and Conrad Thompson talk about what happened behind the scenes with WCW when they were when Tony Schiavone was announcing there. He actually started in the NWA announcing, which was Jim Crockett Promotions.
Nice. Awesome.
So I give I'm a wrestling nerd, so
that's cool. I dig
it. Male soap opera. That's what it is. With Dark Shadows, with the Widows of Widows Hill, the legend itself is just creepy. It builds all the ghost story you would want, and it adds really to the house itself being haunted.
It really does.
Dark Shadows built a nice, steady ghost story. You have the Widows of Widow's Hill. You have, and even Josette having, haunting. She doesn't haunt the hill. She haunts the old house.
The old house,
Right.
yes.
And I like that because it doesn't, though her death is on Widow's Hill, she's not exclusively to Widow's Hill.
Right.
Right.
Right. And I wonder if it's because the old house, before Angelique started her witchcraft, I wonder if it's because the old house was the last place she was happy.
Yeah.
I just, or if that's her unfinished business because she was supposed to live in that house with Barnabas. I don't know. I don't know.
Both.
So
Both. Yeah.
that's my theory.
Yeah.
What did you think about the head of Judah Zachary surviving being thrown off by stuff?
That's when I knew that head was going to be trouble.
Oh my God.
It's like we already saw this with Adam. Adam survived, and now this head this head's gonna be trouble.
I mean, okay, Judah Zachary at least had the reputation of being the most evil man alive.
True.
Like, that kind of explains it a little bit there, that he had some power.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's true. That's true.
I could believe that head would survive more than superhuman Adam,
Yeah, I mean,
just because of who Judah Zachary was.
good Lord.
Oh my God. I'm sorry.
What didn't even hurt when it came back?
No.
Didn't even have any scratches. I
Like,
mean,
did that
Adam-
box even break?
No, the box was
Oh my God.
still on the box.
Charles Dawson having the box in hand and showing it to Gerard Stiles is just classic.
It's not like he carried it back in
Like-
by the hair of its head. Like, here you go. Like, no, it was still pristine in its little case.
Oh
Like-
Lord.
Oh,
The
God,
two best pictures are when Desmond first brings the head into the house. He's like, "Look what I got," and then you have Charles Dawson show it like, "Oh hey, you forgot something." Like, "Hey,
You
look at
forgot
this."
something. Yeah.
It's like I love me some Humphrey Allen Australia. It's like, dude, can you be any more sadistic here with that severed head in your hand?
that big old, that big old, 100 teeth, in his mouth.
Like
Oh my gosh.
The only thing worse he could have in his hand is the Hellraiser puzzle box. It's like,
Oh my gosh, yes.
True.
Yes.
I have a video request for you too.
Okay.
Can you give me the top 5 or 3 Dark Shadows characters most likely to have the Hellraiser puzzle box?
Oh my God.
Dad.
Quentin would have it for sure.
He's on my list. I named him once.
1897 Quentin.
Yes.
But 1840 Quentin too. Stairway
Yeah.
Through Time.
I
I
think-
think he would have had it.
I think Evan Hanley would have had it.
Yeah.
Not Nicholas Blair, but Evan Hanley specifically.
Professor Stokes.
And Professor Stokes. For sure.
I love those lists.
And this is a little bit off the wall, but I think Magda Rakosi.
Magda.
I-
For that matter, Natalie.
Yeah.
But those are the top 3, yeah.
I cheated. I did 2 lists on my channel, and I had David Collins as the number 1 suspect because I remember how evil David was when he's a kid.
True.
Like David was sadistic. I did actually forget to put Judah Zachary on there, and the guy who was the head of Judah Zachary up there, he's like, "You forgot about me." I'm like, "Yes, I'm so sorry, Lord. I'm so sorry.
Right.
Don't curse me." But
We're gonna
yeah,
have to expand this list, maybe top 5 or 6.
For real.
expand your list so you do not get contacted by a severed head on Twitter.
Exactly.
Don't make my mistake, for God's sake. Ladies, I have no more questions for you. Is there anything you want to add?
Oh my gosh. Is there anything we left out?
Hang on, I'm thinking.
I know.
I'm thinking.
Oh, man.
Do we think that Widow's Hill is the reason that Collinwood is such a hellmouth? That the grounds? Do we think that?
Is that where it all began?
I think it began on the grounds itself. So Widow's Hill is a part of that.
So do we think it would have happened because of the grounds, or is it I don't.
I think it is the ground itself. So Widow's Hill is a part of that. Whatever. Look, we can say that the widows jumped because of three lovers, but whatever made them jump, it caused their spirits to stay there. They didn't move on with their husband, which is weird. Like when you think about the legend itself, they're saying, well, they jumped because of their husbands. Well, okay, why didn't their spirits just move on then? They didn't. They stayed there to haunt that hill.
Right.
So it makes you think, what's wrong with the grounds?
True.
That their ghosts stayed there. So I would say it is the grounds itself with the houses that are now built on those grounds.
Okay.
And do you think more overall, the widows, were they haunting the hill to get people to feel and do what they did, or to protect people to not do it?
Oh, good question.
Both, depending on who you are. I think I did a story on my channel with titled "The Widows One Night at Widow's Hill." I'll leave a link in the description box if you haven't heard it.
All right.
It's a little scary, but
Oh.
and there's an unlikely hero, I'll say, in the story. So, but I think it depends on your soul. Look at Matthew Morgan. He dies because the widows were following Josette's instructions.
Okay.
Look at the widows exist, but they do nothing to stop Josette because Josette's death is fate. You can't change Josette's death no matter how many you try.
Yeah.
But they also do nothing to stop Angelique. So I think the widows interfering is a matter of selection by them. They're neither. I don't think they're neither good nor bad. They're more a neutral entity that acts when they choose to.
Okay.
That's fair. I like that answer.
Good answer. Good question. I like that. I would like to do a segment, maybe on our show, maybe on yours, or maybe we can cross over and add it to both. I don't know, but just about the grounds itself, because there is so much to unpack there. About the grounds being haunted and the snowball effect that it has.
So let's go all the way back to the beginning.
Yeah, let's go all the way back to the beginning, and then.
What are you doing next Saturday?
Next Saturday. What's the date? I mean,
Calendar
I know. Let's look at the calendar, guys. Let's see, 26.
I have nothing on the calendar, so.
No, I'm free.
Cool.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, 10:30 p.m. We good?
Yes.
10:30.
Okay, we're going to discuss the grounds of Collinwood.
Yes.
And
awesome.
It's going to be scary as hell.
Yeah. I'm here for it.
It's going to be fun. Links to Between the Shadows, a Dark Shadows podcast is going to be in the description box. Go follow these ladies on Twitter at Lady Mongoose, at I Don't Care 13. Go.
I'm sorry.
I really do, I promise.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm done. Sorry.
You could have the Twitter handle. I don't give a fuck. But I think that one might be taken. I'm not sure.
Probably.
Actually, it's funny. I was playing Hunt Showdown, and somebody's handle was, "I don't give a fuck if you die."
Oh my god,
that was her handle. I'm like, Julie, I don't give a fuck if you die. Just shot me. She goes, yeah, you probably deserved it.
Oh my god.
It's an extraction shooter. Everybody gets shot at. So, links to Between the Shadows and Dark Shadows podcast is going to be in the description box. Links to One Night at Widow's Hill is going to be in the description box. Go follow these ladies on Facebook. Christine Pierce, Cara Tillis. Go follow their page. It'll be in the description box as well. Ladies, thank you so much for giving me your time tonight.
Thank
you.
you. Thanks for having us back again.
Thank you.
Enjoy your weekend.
Yes. See you on Saturday.
See you on Saturday. Bye-bye.
Bye.